Hello and welcome to another map overview video for RMCT4, and this is one of the maps which is going to be in the map selection system for teams playing in qualifying round B, the quarterfinals and the semi-finals, so we will probably see this map played quite a few times. It is of course the quintessential, the classic, the map that made the genre of RFW as popular as it is today, Direct Fire by Vechs, and it's basically unchanged from its original form apart from some minor updates to First Wool, which we'll get to in a little bit. To begin with, the Victory Monument in the traditional position just after the water drop, nothing too unusual about that. There's PvP gear, there is an ore mine down there that is very rarely accessed, a fence to dodge round or jump over or tunnel under, and then the first major item on this map that worth looking at, the bridge. This is where matches are made and broken on Direct Fire. It's quite common to see some serious lockdowns going on here. If you can hold the other team down at their bridge for even just a minute or two, you can have such a huge advantage in getting resources and running walls, and basically get yourself a really major advantage for the rest of the game. To get across this bridge you need to have about 8 blocks to make a jumpable gap, which most people do by either collecting dirt or by punching trees and crafting themselves planks. The trick is to try and get across, not die losing all your blocks at the bottom, so you have to get more, and make sure you get across before the other team. We'll often see PvPers up in the trees putting on pressure, and once they get across we'll see PvP going on from over here. And once one team has someone across, it makes it so much harder for the other team to bridge because it's such a good PvP vantage point over here. So the bridge could be interesting, could be game changing, we will see. Moving on, there are a few items in various chests here, nothing too significant, and then we reach the fortress. The fortress is where a lot of the resources on the map are available. There are diamond blocks, there's plenty of TNT, there's pre-built cannons which have chests containing cannon related items, and way down at the bottom there is the First Wool. Before we talk about the fortress too much, I will briefly point out the iron and diamond rooms down here. 6 iron blocks available there, plus a chest containing quite a lot of goodies. That particular layout of chest is seen in quite a lot of places on this map, so there is no shortage of things like bows and arrows, there's no shortage of torches and iron swords. 6 iron and diamond blocks available there, unless the other team can successfully cannon them before you get there. Now back to the fortress, and down below the fortress there is plenty more diamonds and a whole load more TNT as well. And then from here we move into running the First Wool. Now this wool has been slightly changed from the original map, so where previously it was possible to go straight into one corner and dig straight down without having to deal with any of the PvE, that is no longer possible on this map. Basically, as you dig down you have to pass through these darkened rooms, which will on a typical day be pretty nasty and filled with mobs. There is 1, 2, let's grab some torches to light up as we go so we can see what we're looking at. Levels, and then 3 levels, and then on the 4th level down, blaze spawners, just to make life even more fun. Dropping down from there we reach this lower level where behind the wall here are some cave spider spawners. You can see one in there. So it's really vital that when players come in range of those spawners they block up these 2 holes as quickly as possible. Then if you can get past the cave spiders, it's very simple to drop in and grab the wool. A lot of the stone around here is silverfish blocks, so it's not easy to tunnel anywhere around the back and stuff without having to deal with silverfish, which can be pretty nasty. And then you get the green wool down here, which I've just popped, but you get the idea. Also beyond the green wool there is some stone stuff and another of these chests in this little trapped area over here, which doesn't generally come into play. I will predict now that we are probably going to see some cannons on First Wool, with the intent of opening up some of those mob filled rooms lower down and making it a more hazardous route, but we will see. So that's First Wool. Moving on, teams will pass through this kind of second forest area. Again, there's a chest here with some basic PvP gear. There's a pre-built cannon over here which has the usual cannon stuff, and importantly has a few blocks. This is often a source of blocks for early rushes to Pain Water. And then a couple of these little buildings, a stone building and wooden building. These are often used as a base of operations because they have furnaces, crafting tables and chests available in them. So we'll often see teams base themselves here as a place to kind of call home during the match. Sometimes perhaps putting a bed down on this pathway along the back. Very important to light up the lane properly, as on all Race for Wool maps. And then beyond those buildings we come into this area, which is chutes and ladders. Famous second wool, blue wool on this map. Chutes and ladders is basically a PvP wool for the most part. There's an ore mine over there with a few more items and a trap that is set off, but that's not too important. Another of those chests containing all that kind of good stuff. And over here, a bunch more arrows, just in case you didn't have enough arrows with the billions of stacks you have at this point. And then the wool is all about going down and up and down and up all these ladders. Expect to see cannons to take out the ladders. Expect to see heavily armoured people locking this wool down very, very heavily. Perhaps even expect to see cannons used over here to open things up. We've seen that in some Champions of the Map games lately, so I would not be surprised if we see this area opened up to make it a little bit difficult for players to achieve the last part of the wool, which is generally done by digging along the back here. The very front layer is silverfish, but one block in it's perfectly safe to tunnel, and once people have managed to successfully reach this point, then they can pretty much dig all the way to the wool. All you do is tunnel along the back until you hit the bedrock and then dig straight down, and I'll just shortcut down to show you where the wool box is over here, and that's blue wool. Alternatively, if you're feeling particularly masochistic, you might decide not to do the tunnelling route and come along the bottom here through this room, which is dark, very, very nasty and full of mobs, including cave spiders. So probably not recommended. Moving on from second wool to possibly the most interesting wool on the map, this is Pain Water, the third wool, red wool on direct fire. To get there, first of all you have to make your way across this precariously narrow bridge, and we will probably see this being a lockdown location if one team gets here before the other does. You need about 20 blocks to complete the bridge, and of course if you actually want to make it safe you need a lot more blocks to build yourself a safety rail of some kind. Then we enter the lava and water maze that is Pain Water. Most players who run this wool will be very familiar with the route, which kind of involves going up here, along here, and then either you can come down here and cut through the lava, or you can come along here and cut through this lava, or if you're feeling crazy you can even run it without cutting through any lava at all, which is something that players have to do if it ends up being obsidianized, which happens if you place any blocks in here, or if the other team decides to set off a sand cannon and obsidianize it for you, but that's pretty unlikely to happen, I would say. Nevertheless, although it's fairly easy to run it legit once you've had some practice, it is really, really hard to run this wool under PvP pressure, and if the other team have got someone based over here at the entrance and they maybe already have the wool, then they can very, very easily put pressure on you because you swim so slowly, and it's really, really easy for them to shoot you up into the lava, which is no fun at all. At the end of Pain Water there is the red wool, and this is a wool for which there is no pass around. So you do have to run back with the wool as well. Now if the bridge to Pain Water is really seriously locked down, we may see players choosing to come down to the bottom and using a water bucket traverse the lava down here. If they do that, however, they do still have to get back up to the entrance because there is only one way into this wool, and that is through the entrance there. So even if they come across the bottom, they still have a precarious pillaring up to do to get themselves into the wool itself. So that's direct fire, and this will be used for various matches in the next 3 rounds of RMCT 4. You can find out more about the tournament at reddit.com/r/mctourney and follow the streams on Twitch at twitch.tv/rmctourney, and enjoy the tournament. Thanks for watching.